Hello and welcome to the sunny south of France at the Paul Ricard circuit. Today we are here doing a GYTR test for Yamaha, so we've got a R7, an R6 and the big dog, the R1. Let's do this. Welcome to pit lane at Paul Ricard circuit in the south of France. We're out here, we've got day and a half of fun, action-packed action at the Yamaha GYTR event. There's a little poster over there. We're going to be testing the R6 standard and GYTR, R7 standard and GYTR, and the big dog, the R1 GYTR. That is the best noise that a motorcycle can make. Particularly that one. I've never been here before, Paul Ricard. It's a very crazy looking circuit, so it's going to be really interesting. We're going to start on the R6, so we're going to go out and have a couple of laps on a standard R6 race, which is basically a non-homologated R6 basically, but it's totally standard. And then we're going to go out on the GYTR version after that. And annoyingly, as with all these bloody things these days, we can't put helmet cameras on the bikes or anything. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. First up, it's the standard R6 race to help us learn the circuit and get an understanding of the base R6 before we jump on the pimped version. The R6 race is a great base package, although a little cramped for my vast 6'4" frame. It still performed well and is a proven race-winning foundation, dominating 600 races around the world. The stripped-down R6 race is £12,400 and is not road legal thanks to the EU and the imminent death of the planet. After the stocker was sampled, it was time to jump on the R6 GYTR. The bike on test had considerable upgrades on top of what you get with the R6 GYTR, the biggest of which was Öhlins all-round and then various switchgear upgrades and adjusters, etc. Although the standard R6 GYTR does come with the full Akropovich exhaust and GYTR ECU. I twiddled some clickers here and there and set it up for my 100 kilo mass and rode off pretending I knew what I was doing. Thankfully, I managed to blag a GoPro on the back of our guide rider's bike, none other than Sheridan Marias. Rolling down pit lane, the power jump was massive to the suffocated standard bike, and the GYTR R6 was easy to ride straight away. Chassis was predictable, supportive and confidence-inspiring. Braking was as impressive as the power gains and very stable on corner entry, making it easy to hit your markers, even for me. Change of direction was greatly improved and the chassis grip gave me no problem when giving it a clumsy handful on exit. Great fun on a serious bit of kit. Wow, so just done a session on the standard R6 to figure out where we're going around here. It's quite a confusing track, but actually I'm really starting to like it. And then we just did a session on the GYTR R6. When I got off the standard bike, I was like, okay, that's a really good bike. Yeah, it's really great. Yeah. Got off the GYTR bike, and the difference is night and day. It is so good. It's so much better. So yeah, that's my experience so far. I've got one more session on the R6. And I'm starting to learn a little bit more about where to go on this track. It's a bit of a head, but once it sort of settles, it's really good circuit. Yeah, one more session on the R6 GYTR bike, and then I think we're going to a presentation. And then tomorrow morning we've got the R7 on a shorter track, and then in the afternoon we've got the big dog, the R1. So yeah, but I'm enjoying it. It's good. C'est magnifique. Day one was over and time to head back to the hotel, where I discovered I didn't pack any spare pants and had to have dinner with the president of Yamaha Europe in a pair of fluoro orange swimming trunks. Welcome to day deux, journée de deux, at the Circuit de Paul Ricard. Yesterday was fantastic. We had the R6. I'm just going to try and get away from this terrible Euro pop. I quite like it actually. So yeah, so yesterday we had the R6 GYTR, and what a thing. I mean, you could put that on any Supersport grid as it is and be competitive. The bike we rode yesterday was a bit more upgraded than the standard R6 GYTR, which you get as a package. So R1 had the forks and the other upgrades, but that's all available via the Pro Shop, which we'll talk more about later, the GYTR Pro Shops, which there's, I think, going to be 24 around Europe, and they can build you a bike to what you want. What's that music? Shut up. It's probably going to flag it for YouTube. Anyway, so this morning we're going to go on the R7, and the R7 does not have a specific GYTR model lineup. This is an R7 with GYTR parts. So I'm actually really looking forward to this. I think it's, I mean, from the Super Twins we raced last year, I'm familiar with this sort of horsepower, and I'd love to know how good a proper sorted bike feels, a new updated bike with a nice smooth engine. So yeah, let's crack on, and I'll show you one, shall I? Okay. So I'm going to get geared up and we're going to get on this now. And again, I don't know what we're doing about GoPros. It's really awkward and difficult here. So I'm going to try my best. If not, I'll have to try and narrate a lap or some thoughts. So let's see what happens in the edit. Anyway, this is a good day. Ciao. Ciao bella. I don't know, it's Italian now. Au revoir. Au revoir, monsieur. Au revoir. A brief morning wake-up call on the standard R7 provided bags of fun, and out the box this is already a really decent bike, especially considering the price point. Easy to ride, nimble, and the narrow gusset makes it really easy to move around, and it actually felt quite roomy, although woefully underpowered for this circuit meant you had to absolutely rag it, which actually was quite enjoyable. Then we jumped on the kitted R7 with the GYTR parts and headed out for a hammering. I absolutely loved this bike. It was already a good base, but now it's an absolute corner speed weapon. I felt I was carrying more corner speed than on the R6 in fact. Slim, light, and so fast to turn, it was actually quite amazing. I could have ridden this all day, and spoiler alert, it was probably my favourite bike of the whole test. Yes, the GYTR parts added were equal to the retail price of the bike, but it's transformed an already great bike into a sublime one. Although it's not for the fatties. The R7 is £8,400 and the GYTR kit on this bike was another €7,000. Right, R7, very interesting. So we went out on the stock bike, and to be fair, it's actually pretty good in stock form. Now, let me just, however, you can really notice, maybe it's the circuit, but you can really notice the power difference. And I'm big, I'm heavy, I'm probably 100 kilos in all my kit, and we're riding in a group with an instructor and another rider, and my other rider is like 65 kilos. And the difference in top speed on the straight is 44 kilometers per hour. So I visibly see the difference of the lighter rider, and I think that's what you've got to consider when looking at an R7 or something like that. I've never really noticed the difference, the massive difference that weight makes, because on a superbike it's not that relevant. It's still relevant, of course. But yeah, so that was my overall take of the first bike, and it was really quite soft, but still easy to ride, fun. We had slick tyres on it. Slick tyres are on everything on this test, Bridgestone VO2s, and yeah, so that is a great upgrade already. But generally, it was pretty decent. And I thought, yep, that's good. Good fun bike. Then I got on the GYTR spec bike. So they don't do a GYTR purchasable product as such. It's a R7 with GYTR parts. So this had the fork cartridges, the shock, flashed ECU, I think, rear sets, handlebar switches, exhaust system, and yeah, basically pretty much everything you can throw at it. And I think that cost is another about 7,000 euros on top of the cost of an R7, so it's quite pricey. But what a bike. That was so fun. I had so much fun on it. I found it probably, I felt super confident on it. The brakes were actually really good, and the brakes, all I've done is just deleted the ABS. I don't think there's, the calipers are the same. There might be some upgraded pads in there, but the brake, the front end turned in so nice, and you can ride it all day long. It sounds good. The power is considerably better with just the exhaust and the remap than the standard bike, so that was very noticeable. But it's still, for a big lad, it's still really difficult to keep up with the rest of your team on the straights. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I can't wait to spend some more time on it this year. I definitely want to take it to a different track. This is a really fast, sweeping circuit, like round Cadwell Park or something, like a Nadra UK track. That bike is the daddy. And last year I raced in Super Twins on the CF Moto, which some of you might have seen the videos of, and it was really interesting because these bikes are now the same category, and the chassis and the way it handles is way better. Obviously the CF Moto had way more power, but it was sort of delivered in a bit of a strange way. But honestly, I reckon you could turn up and just turn up on that bike and do really bloody well in the championship, and just, yeah, it's brilliant. And I actually think it looks really good as well. I think it looks probably the best out of the R6 and the R1. So I guess why are we here? We're here to talk about the GYTR parts, and does it make a difference? And what I'm here to, I guess, convey, to talk to you about is it worth it? Is the difference worth it? And that bike there has got 7 grand's worth of extra stuff on it. Is it worth it? I think you've got to, obviously, money is subjective. Some people have more than others. But I think if you want to be competitive or line up on a grid somewhere, you've got to have it. And yeah, yes, you can go and buy an old SV650, and if you've got talent, you can probably still do pretty well in that cup. But if you want a reliable, fast, beautifully handling bike, then you've got to get with the GYTR parts. I mean, the standard bike is okay, but the up-spec bike is really good, really good. Like, I was really surprised. I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, I'd say it is worth it, because otherwise, what's the point? I think you either go balls deep, or you just go and get an old shitter. And I'd much prefer to have that. We're done with that now, sadly, and well, not sadly, because now we're going to go and move on up, like M people, to the R1. But it actually looks, so the microphone's pointing at me, but I think it actually looks like, yeah, one of the best. Huh?
Like pumper.
Your pumper?
Pumper, yeah, you say it in English, pumper?
What's a pumper?
Pumper, to put in your pants from the babies if they do...
Oh, pampers.
Pampers, yeah, for the R1.
For the R1, the format was the same, one session on the standard bike to get used to the speed of it, which definitely was needed after the R7, and then out on the main event, the R1 GYTR. The manners of the standard bike are impeccable, and that friendly nature has actually stayed with the bike on the GYTR version, which was very welcome, and I didn't feel scared of it at all. I had ridden a previous version of the GYTR R1 in Portimao a few years ago, which, if memory serves, was a bit of an animal. This, I'm happy to say, is more refined, less mental in a good way, less intimidating, and it feels like the factory knowledge behind the project has improved and produced a bike which is atomically fast and easy to ride. Normally, when you're testing a bike and you jump on it for the first time, you find a load of things that you don't like, or are slightly irritating, or you can't quite get it to do what you want. I noticed none of those issues. It did exactly what I wanted when I wanted it. The only issue was me not riding it as hard as it could be ridden. Oh, and I was perplexed by a lower top speed on the straight than the standard bike, which turned out to be a loose fairing flap that caused extra drag on the 200-mile-an-hour straight. Apart from that, it was simply sublime, and I got to be overtaken by world champion Toprak Razgatlioglu, which was a bonus. And my other complaint being that 2 sessions was simply not long enough. So maybe we can borrow one for a super bike test very soon here on 44 Teeth. As for price, at the time of recording, it is still not confirmed, but the GYTR R1 is expected to be between 25 and 30,000 euros. But the bike on test here was estimated to be over 40,000 euros. So you're going to need to get saving. Right. Oh no. Beepy noise. I've just tried to come somewhere for a quiet spot. Right, so that's the day done now. We've just done the 2 sessions on the GYTR R1. We also had a warm-up session on the standard R1, and I'll just wait. I mean, what can you say about it? It's a race bike, and it's prepared by factory level technicians who know what they're doing. You know, anyone can sort of go and buy any super bike, Gixxer, BMW, whatever, and go, oh, I'm going to go and stick these Öhlins forks in it, and I'm going to go and stick this, and maybe get some fairly decent results. But these guys know what they're doing, and you can feel it. So, yeah, to be honest with you, riding round, it's kind of. I wasn't even really thinking about the bike, and that is a good thing because it didn't give me anything to think about. I wasn't thinking, oh, shit, hang on. I would like a bit more of this, or it's too powerful, it's too slow, it won't turn in right. It just did whatever I wanted it to do, and that's kind of all you can want from a race bike, really. And yeah, it was obviously way beyond my means and my capabilities of riding. So I suppose we should really talk about what GYTR is, and there's been loads of dinners and stuff last night and chats about all the development, which is fantastic, it's brilliant, but basically it's a factory parts department that you can get all of the good stuff to go and race your bike, or, which I think is going to be more the customer base, track day goers, wealthy track day goers, because let's face it, I think the GY, again, we haven't been given prices, but the GY, which is a bit stupid on a launch, we're already here, we need to know how much it is, but the R1, the one we were riding, is at least 40 grand, at least. So you got to have some wedge in your pocket. And actually the standard R1 was also really enjoyable as well, so I guess I can't complain about the product. It's an amazing product, and the R7 was amazing, the R6 was amazing, the R1 was amazing. It just comes down to if you can afford something like that, and if that's what you want to do, if you want to go and chase lap times with your mates, and you've got some serious cash, then GYTR is for you. If you haven't, then you might as well just go and buy a standard R1M. Which has got all the bling stuff on it already, and it's not as good. It's not as good, fact, in terms of lap times. But you can ride it on the road, and it's a bit more, I don't know, customer focused. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, my bike, I don't know. It had a bit of a. I couldn't get it. I was going faster in a straight line. That straight is ridiculous, by the way. It's like. It's a 200 mile an hour straight, but the stock bike, I was going faster on the stock bike, weirdly, so don't know why that was. But anyway, hopefully I managed to get some camera stuff, managed to get our guide rider to put a GoPro on the front of the bike and the back of the bike, so hopefully you've seen some of the riding, and yeah, it's mega. That's it really. Annoyingly, we were the Yart bikes here and the Pro GYTR bike, which is the super duper amazing one, but 44 teeth isn't cool enough to be able to ride that, so they've given it to some other UK publication with about 6 followers. So, and also you can't have GoPros and you can't hear me going, wow, this is amazing, isn't it brilliant? But you know, that's the modern world we live in, and unfortunately the content's going to suffer, but there we go. I had a good day and that's all that matters. But yeah, it's been tiring, so I'm going to go and get a flight to Marseille now and back to Blighty, where I'll probably have a little download and narrate some more thoughts over the footage of riding. So thanks for watching, and yeah, au revoir mes amis, à tout le monde, whatever that means.